Hello, everybody. Today's star of the day is Ali Macgraw. She is a 70s icon. She was born April 1st, 1939 in Pound Ridge, New York. When I say icon of the 70s, I truly do mean it. Her look was iconic and copied by many during that time. Unfortunately, her career, although she has done other things that aren't in the 70s, her career as an actress, its heyday was the 1970s. Starting out her career in the 1960s as a model, during the late 60s, Ali Macgraw would meet and fall in love with super producer Robert Evans. It was through his connection to producing movies that she did get most of her starring roles without that much experience in acting. And she always said she felt uncomfortable in front of the camera. Even though she always remained uncomfortable in front of the camera, there was something electric about her that the camera loved. In the late 60s, she took a turn towards acting with a star-making role in the movie Goodbye Columbus, which starred her and Richard Benjamin. She would then go on to star in the 1970 phenomenon hit movie Love Story, which would give people the just really bad advice that love means not having to say you're sorry. I'm sorry because I love you. I'm gonna say I'm sorry. That is the worst advice ever. This movie was directed by Arthur Hiller and co-starred Ryan O'Neal in their iconic role as two college sweethearts that grew up in different circumstances when tragedy strikes them in their very young marriage. This movie, Love Story, made Ali Macgraw a bona fide superstar of the time. Her look in that movie, everybody copied it, everybody wanted to look like her, and everybody wanted to be her. It was effortless and breezy, that type of early 70s look that everybody was after. Love Story was also the movie where she was nominated for an Oscar for her performance, and that would be the only Oscar nomination of her career. And this movie was also produced by her husband, Robert Evans, but that's not to take away anything from her. As controversial as it might be in this time that somebody would get a career from a family member, it's really the way that everything has been. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but she was good in it, and it made her a cultural icon of the moment. Her next movie that I would recommend in her career as one of those iconic moments would be the 1972 movie The Getaway, which co-stars Steve McQueen. This is an electric duo. The movie was directed by Sam Peckinpah and written by Walter Hill. It was also produced by Robert Evans again, but the pairing of McQueen and Macgraw would mark the end of the union between Robert Evans and Ali Macgraw. If you watch that movie, you'll understand why McQueen and Macgraw were a couple for the ages. I just rewatched this movie, and you can still feel the heat between those two on the screen. It is something that is unmistakable. When you watch this movie, you can feel the instant chemical reaction between these two. There is for lack of a better term, sex scene near the beginning of the movie, which actually shows no sex or anything gratuitous, but it is the most intimate scene between these two people that you will see. You can feel the intimacy without them showing or doing really anything. Trust me, watch it, you'll know exactly what scene I'm talking about. So the Getaway, like I said, did result in her leaving her marriage and divorcing Robert Evans, which she immediately married Steve McQueen after the divorce was final. And that ended up her taking a step away from movies for 5 years. 5 years in the middle of a booming screen career, which made you a cultural icon where everybody is trying to copy your look in the nation, is a tough thing to do. But that's how, for better or for worse, Robert Evans wanted it, and Steve McQueen didn't like her working. As oftentimes as it is with such a passionate love affair that started in less than ideal circumstances, the union between Ali Macgraw and Steve McQueen only lasted 5 years. They divorced, and in 1978, I would say she did what was the last of her iconic roles, which is the 1978 movie Convoy, which was loosely based on like a song in 1975 called Convoy. One of those rare movies that are based on a song, but it starred her and the hot 70s icon Kris Kristofferson. It was also directed by Sam Peckinpah, who directed her, of course, in The Getaway. After that, her career kind of faltered. She dropped out of the spotlight, and if you ever get a chance to see or read her biography, she goes into the fact that she was never comfortable in front of the camera. She had a massive drug and alcohol problem and had a sex addiction problem as well. She would go on to be in other things to a lesser extent. She appeared from time to time. She did a guest starring arc on the show Dynasty, and her character was killed off. Little things like that, but never back to her 70s icon status from the 4 movies listed here. In fact, in the 80s and 90s, she's probably best known for a series of yoga workout videos that she did, which are actually pretty good yoga videos. If you can find one of Ali Macgraw's yoga videos, I suggest to try them because they're actually really good videos. She retired from acting completely in the early 90s. She actually moved away to New Mexico and has lived there ever since around the early mid-90s. But the fact that her movie career or her icon status of the 70s was so short-lived and only lasted really that decade does not diminish that she had 4 iconic roles that I suggest you watch. Like I said, late 60s is Goodbye Columbus, followed by Love Story, then The Getaway, and then the late 70s movie Convoy, which is more of a fun movie than a good movie. But those are her 4 iconic roles. So I salute Ali Macgraw, who is living still and in her 80s and continues to be beautiful and ever much the icon that she was back in the 70s.